Welcome to the Spinoso podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso. My expertise is in building all sorts of medical companies to 7, 8, and even 9 figures. And I'm sharing my journey with you. This isn't a podcast telling you you should do this. It's just telling you how I did this. I want you to be better at home, in your life, and at work. So let's get into it today, guys. As always, I have Miss Amanda May, and you're wearing double necklaces today. So you've got the grandma necklace. What's the
That
second
my grandma
necklace?
necklace?
Okay.
Well, I like this other one because it's gold on one side and silver on the other.
Oh, it's like a reversible belt for your neck.
Yeah. Fantastic. I only ever wear it on the gold side, but if
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ever
I'm gonna
decided
start calling necklaces that neck belts.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's gonna catch on. Like, I really do. That's a beautiful neck belt you have. Yeah, I think that'll be good, right?
I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Neck
I can
belts.
go with it.
Cause like, what was necklace? Like, you have belts around your waist, right? And then essentially, a necklace is like a belt around your neck, so it's a neck belt. Doesn't hold anything up though.
Well, then you would call it like a waist belt?
No, it's just a belt. But that's a good point. Maybe we should just call it a belt, and I should just call it necklaces belts. And be like, "It's a nice belt you have," and they'll be like, "What?" Yeah.
All right.
The you know, I expected a better response to that, and that went better in my it went better in my it went better in my head than, what it fucking came out as, all right.
Right. You
Here we go.
do.
What are we talking about
You
today?
do you.
What are we talking about today?
Oh, that actually made me tear up. That was funny. Um, Today we're going to talk about the retreat forward strategy. And uh it's something that entrepreneurs often avoid because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to retreat, pull back, take a moment, assess, reevaluate. And that doesn't feel good, especially when you're a doer and you think that action is what's going to create the success. So, we're going to talk about how retreat actually helps forward strategy.
Yeah, I mean, we're always told hustle, grow, expand, push forward, move, move, move. But the reality is sometimes moving forward means exactly that, taking a few steps back. And sometimes the smartest move you can make is an absolute a retreat or a resetting of your life.
Mm.
When we went to start Genesis Lifestyle Medicine, it started as Cell Spark, a stem cell company. But I told my wife, "Hey, we're going to have to sacrifice here. We're going to have to give up some things and pull back our lifestyle in order to grow." And that's when we moved out of our Palm Springs home. We rented it out so that we can pocket all the money and save it up to build a business. And we moved into, again, the front foyer of a 5-bedroom house because the other 5 bedrooms are rented. And we tried to keep our expenses as low as possible. But if you think about it, I was in my early 30s. She was in her late 20s. We literally left our house in order to grow a business or save up to grow a business. So we took 2 steps back in my 30s as a doctor in order to build the business we wanted to, and obviously that's led to the life that I have. So that brings us up to our first point here where retreat is not you're defeated. Retreat is a strategy. Retreat is living another day. When any general or leader would say on the battlefield, retreat, it wasn't because it's saying, well, we're bitches and we don't want to fucking die here. It was, well, if we retreat, if we don't retreat, we're going to lose this war or we're going to lose this battle right here and right now. We would rather retreat, meet again, figure out the next plan of attack, and then move forward. So, in general, retreating doesn't mean defeat in the long term. It doesn't mean, well, because I went backwards at one point in my life, the rest of my life I'm going to be a failure. It just means that right now, the best thing to do is to live another day, to survive another day, to figure out what we have to do in order to move forward again, to regroup. It's not cowardice, it's smart, it's strategy, it's survival.
Mm. Yeah, so many entrepreneurs think if they have to close a location, scale back a product line, or make some sort of major change like that, that they've somehow failed. And that cutting back means, that they're going the wrong direction. But really, it's a way to stop the bleeding sometimes. It's a way to see, like, what do we really need to do with a fresh perspective? And I mean, I've from like the product side, so many companies make 80% of their sales on 20% of their product. So it's like, well, what can we get rid of here? Like, do we really need all of this stuff? And that moment of retreat allows the time for you to reassess and see what's necessary. And I think about this from the business side, but also from the physical side. And I think you and I both, you have done this on a more intense level than I have. But I often think about when I get sick, it's because I'm burning the wick at both ends. And I'm not taking the time to even retreat with myself and take a break and like give myself the rest or the recovery that I need so that I can move forward even stronger. And so it's interesting because I had, a cold over the weekend, and I call it a cold, it was pretty severe and sucked pretty bad, but I feel like if you don't deliberately do it, your environment will do it for you. So, whether it's getting sick and then your body is like, "That's it, you have to take a break now, you have to retreat," or in your business, if you don't make those necessary changes when it's time to retreat and let go of some of that stuff, your business is gonna collapse. Like, you can't make it sometimes by just continuing to push forward without taking that retreat, and if that means taking a couple steps back in your business, or you're not gonna make it as far, I should say. Like, could I keep going even when I'm sick? Sure. But am I gonna be as strong as am I gonna be as healthy? Am I gonna really be my best, show up my best? No, I'm not going to. And you've put yourself in the hospital multiple times doing that.
Yeah, and that part is fucking reality right there. Like the retreat strategy has literally saved my life multiple times. In that you said it right then and there. If you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, sometimes your body's just going to go off of a cliff, or your business is just going to go off of a cliff. And I've pushed myself off that cliff multiple times, like German Red Bull Flugtag style. Like, let's fucking do it, and figure it out as we go down in flames. But when you're in the hospital, you always think, okay, I gotta rest. I gotta slow down. I gotta reset myself, or else I'm gonna end up in an early grave. And do that enough times, trust me, it's gonna slow you down and you're gonna retreat from that. And now I know if I'm getting close to that point, I'll tell Steph, I need to go away or like sleep for a day or just not do anything. Leave me alone. And she's very, very receptive to it because it's not fucking every other week that this happens. This is like once every 6 months usually. I'm like, I need to sleep for a day, or just I
Mhm.
just need to be alone for a day. And it allows me to calm and reset myself and essentially do a mental retreat, a step back from that edge where I know I'm gonna push myself into a in the hospital. And that has saved me multiple times now,
Mm,
being able to recognize that now. But with your business as well, you should be able to look at, are we burning the wick at both ends? Am I pushing my staff further, harder, longer than what they can take? And again, that's going to be a conversation with them and feedback with them of what can we do? How can we get there? Do we need more help? And then hiring that help as needed, not as they want, because they're always gonna want more and more and more staff. If 10 people can be hired to do one job, they're gonna want all 10 people to be hired to do that one job, even though maybe 2 people could actually do that job. It makes it less and less, hard for them to do that. But that's really, I mean, in business, instead of pulling back and reassessing, we're usually always breaking something, and then there is a natural pulling back at that point. So you try and put something in, you try and grow, you try and succeed, and then it fails. And there's a natural timeline of, okay, that failed. Let's see what we have to do to fix it the next time we go at it. And that downtime is relative to the size of the failure. So if it's a small failure, 24 hours, maybe even a few hours, okay, that didn't work. We're going to do this and we're going to go. If it's a medium sized failure, it might take a week to review. Okay, what went wrong? How do we improve it? What's the next steps? If it's a massive failure and it costs us millions of dollars, it might take a month, 2 months to recoup, figure out where we went wrong, get other opinions at that level into it, see how to reattack the problem, and then go back with a new set of eyes and a new plan. But again, that is directly related to making sure that you are pulling back at that time and reassessing before you take a step forward.
Why do you think the retreat gets such a bad rap with this hustle
Yeah.
culture
Well,
that
because
we live in?
everybody wakes up at fucking 4 AM and then, drinks 64 ounces of lemon water or dumps their head in a fucking bowl with ice and then goes out and runs like 7 miles in 24 minutes and then, suns their butthole when the sun finally comes up because they've done all this before anybody else has woken up. And then they walk, into their multi-million dollar business where everything isn't a problem, and then they get on their yacht at night to go watch the sunset. That's what fucking Instagram teaches you nowadays, or social media teaches you, where that's like the norm. So you should be hustling, hustling, hustling. You shouldn't have children, they slow you down. You shouldn't have a spouse, they slow you down. You should be a independent woman. You don't need no man. You should do again, all those fucking things has led into this culture where slowing down or enjoying what you have, even just for a short period of time, having gratitude for a
Mm.
short period of time is a bad thing because you should always be pushing for more. You should always be growing for more. You got your dreams to chase down, brother. Go do it. So it gets a bad rap for you to actually fail and go backwards because failure gets a bad rap because again, social media, there is no failure. There's only success on 99% of social media. And then there's the other people who just, you know, life vomit and cry on social media, which is there's no in between of like, here's the reality of some losses. It's I'm winning all the time or I'm crying and video recording myself because my life sucks. That's why it gets a bad rap because hustle culture believes that's what you have to do to succeed.
Dude.
It doesn't. Like, you're gonna fucking lose some games, man. You're gonna lose some games. And all athletes know that. All people who grew up in an entrepreneurial family or an actual family that teaches them that there are fucking winners and losers in life, and there are some days that you're going to lose. Period.
Yeah, it does make it, a perception of one or the other, and, you know, sleep when you die hashtags and, hustle hashtags and all that. It was very trendy. I don't know, I feel like maybe it's changing a little bit where there's like a pendulum swing and then it kinda starts to level off 'cause I or maybe just who I'm following, I see a lot more people talking about the realities and maybe some of the podcasting and stuff, some of the realities of business in general and recognizing that kinda that reset is a chance to recoup, and the retreat it's actually a strategic move that you can make so that you can go to the next level in your business, um, but it's really just about repositioning yourself, and you can't really do that when you're in the trenches every day. It's hard to make those types of changes with a broad perspective, um so really, we're talking about stripping back down to the studs and allowing yourself to see what's really there and what's really making a difference. And recognizing it's not failure, it's maturity when you can do that. And it takes courage to really to it takes courage to recognize that you need to redo something and rebuild it so that you have a stronger foundation. But it's necessary. And tearing it down to building it right is what makes you stronger for the next phase, and you're gonna have to do that multiple times. But you have to start with the retreat so you can be strategic about that process.
Yeah. There's gonna be sometimes in your business where you're right, you have to completely demolish what you've built down to the studs. And for those who don't know, in a house, there are essentially studs within your walls that hold up your walls. They don't just fucking stand up on their own. Okay. There are studs and there are joints and yada, yada, yada. All these things are pressure points in your business that, or pressure points in your house that hold the house up. The same goes for your business. There are pressure points in your business, things that if you tore those down, everything would fall apart. It might be a person, it might be a process, it might be a procedure, but everything around that person can be changed and the clinic won't fall apart. Everything around that process can be changed and the clinic won't fall apart. So, one, you should know what those are, the studs in your company. Secondly, sometimes the house gets old and it gets dingy and the walls turn from white to yellowish, and you've got that old popcorn ceiling you're looking at, and you've got grandma's linoleum in the kitchen and some weird looking colored tile from the 1990s. And you look around and you're like, fuck, this house is okay, but it's not great. It's nothing to write home about. It's nothing that's going to get me on the cover of QVC magazine. So you have to fucking tear it down from top to bottom. You have to bust out the walls. You have to tear apart the ceiling. You have to rip the countertops up. You have to pull the linoleum with the glue and everything off the floor. And then you gotta prep the house again. And you might have just the studs, and the studs might be old, but they still work in some great places. But you might have to add some extra studs there, some extra support there, the base of your company. And then you rebuild around it. You rebuild the walls. You put new flooring down. You put new countertops in. And when you're done, you're left with a house that's just immaculate. And it's the same in your business. Have been multiple points in Genesis where we had to restructure leadership. We've had to restructure SOPs. We've had to restructure everything. When I came on board to Genesis and I started to try and systematize the processes and procedures, it was originally 5 different clinics doing 5 completely different processes and procedures. And everybody had their own paperwork, their own setups, their own et cetera. And I took roughly 550 documents that literally there would be 12 to 15 versions of one document to do one thing in the clinic. And I had to cut those down into what back then was around like 30 to 40 total documents to do all the services that we were doing. Out of 550, that was like tearing it down to the studs again. And when we had those SOPs in place, guess what? We were able to go from 5 locations to 12 to 18 with those processes. And then what happened is that we ballooned past that 25, 30, 35, 40, 50, 80. And guess what? There were a whole bunch of losers and a few winners. And losers meaning clinics that just couldn't keep up and just couldn't fit the Genesis system. It didn't contribute to us. And at the same time, our systems and processes were not big enough. They couldn't handle 80 locations. They couldn't handle 50 locations. So what we're doing now with creating Genesis 2.0 is stripping what we have down to the studs again, putting in new studs, getting big players on board in our C-suite and in our teams locally. And then guess what? Once we have all those studs on board, the right people on on the bus, we're gonna put all new walls, all new floors, all new countertops. Everything's going to be absolutely gorgeous, and it's gonna be unbelievable to see. But again, we had to strip it to the studs, and we have to strip it to the studs in order to get there. And you're gonna have to do the same in your business as you grow in order to get to the next level.
What's an area in the business that you feel like you were putting duct tape on instead of actually pulling back and doing, like, a full rebuild?
Bruh. Bruh. Let me tell you about this. Look, your business is going to be spit and glue and duct tape 98% of the time. It's just how it's gonna be. And the even when you have the strong processes and procedures and training and marketing, it's gonna get better, but there are still gonna be places that you duct tape together. And to call out one place that literally is duct taped versus what's not duct taped, oh, fuck. Literally every part of the business has some sort of duct tape on it. Like, every part of the business has some sort of, like, uh, I don't know, electrical pump that's pumping the water out of the bottom of the basement. They're all kinda, like, leaky here and issues there, and, again, as a business owner, your job is to triage the things that are gonna sink your boat, not where the little leaks might be or the issues with the burner here or the issues with, the galley there. Your focus is on making sure this boat fucking continues to float. That's it. And sometimes that might be, again, closing off parts of the boat that are taking on so much water that they're gonna sink the rest or get water into the rest of the boat and sealing it off for good to make sure that the boat stays afloat. And so there's going to always be duct tape on certain parts of your company. As long as you realize you got to come back and fix those pieces of duct tape and peel them off and refinish the company and put in new processes, procedures, and services. That's what you have to realize as a business owner is that you'll always have some sort of, well, we're just gonna jiggy this thing up right here, and that's good for now. We'll come back to it, but you just stay there because over here, this part's on fire. Literally. If we don't put out this fire, we're all fucked. So this is okay right now for here. We'll put it on the list, and then we got to go focus on A, B, C because, you know, we have to fix those in order to get to even D, E, and F.
Mm. Yeah, so it's not that the duct tape is a bad thing, but recognizing if you're duct taping something that is really hindering your business or gonna take it under if it's too much of a problem, and then it needs really attention now versus duct taping it. So, when I was, first started driving, I had bought my grandpa's Dodge Dynasty. The first car I had.
Damn.
Yeah. Uh, and the boyfriend that I had in high school
Pull that up. I don't even know what that looks like.
backed into my car.
Dodge
Dodge Dynasty.
Dynasty. I mean, I'll give you guys some time to put that into your phone. Oh my sex machine. Look at that. That looks like a
This
hearse.
was a long time
A
ago.
hearse mixed with a house. It looks like a a car a car with a short camper on the back of it almost, if you will. Like 3.9 consumer rating on the Kelly business, book,
How much is it
Kelly Blue
worth now?
Book.
I think it was like a
Fair purchase national average price, $1,772.
oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I only
Depreciated
paid $500 for it.
depreciated oh, you got half of the Kelly Blue Book fair or, one almost one third
It was also
of
my
the Kelly Blue Book price.
my grandpa also. But
Man, that guy got housed. You housed your own grandpa. Holy shit. Guy got taken to the
uh,
cleaners by his
he
own
shoulda just gave
granddaughter.
it to me.
Yeah.
But the boyfriend I had at the time, backed into it and knocked off my mirror, and my father had just passed away, so I just didn't have, like, anyone to help me with that kinda stuff, so I duct taped it.
There you
I duct taped it
go.
on. Yeah, and then the hood latch broke at some point, and so I just duct taped it down.
Nice.
Yeah,
That seems safe.
I mean, I don't know. I don't actually know what happened to that car. I think
Yeah.
I probably sold it,
Hood
duct tape
rats
and
do
all.
hood rat things. You don't even know what happened to the car at the end of it?
I don't
You just fucking
remember.
drove it into a
I think
ravine.
I sold it or something.
Jesus. That's hilarious.
But duct tape came in handy. It
Yeah,
did, it
there
really
you
did.
go. Sometimes it
Uh,
does. Sometimes it does.
um, but when do you feel like as a leader you go, "Okay, demo day is here. It is time to strip this back to the studs, retreat, recoup,
Yeah.
recalibrate."
I mean, this is different for everyone and for almost every situation, but if you're pouring everything you can into a company and it is just continuing to fail or it's getting no traction whatsoever and you're doing all the right things, you're doing everything we've said in this podcast for really months on end, sometimes years on end, and it's not getting anywhere, it's time to pack up and pivot. Or again, with a program, we usually in Genesis now allow really 90 days for any type of program to, I would say, catch on or take flight. If something isn't working after 90 days, that's enough for us to say, okay, we need to switch it because we have such high level operators and systems now where if they can't make something work in 90 days, then there's something fundamentally wrong with the way that process or procedure or whatever set up and it just is never going to work. So that's kind of how we do it now is the 90-day thing. I mean, in life and in business, it's a little bit different all over the place. So you just got to figure out, is this getting me any closer to my final goal? Because some things may take years to manifest. And if you're working at it every day, little by little, and you see progress and you're chiseling away, then sometimes you just got to wait for fucking time to come, period.
I think you can feel the difference though if there's even small amounts of progress along the way that like you don't want to demo it down, right? Like you still have forward motion.
Yep.
And that's more of the long game that you're talking about. One of the other things to consider when it comes to the retreat forward strategy is at times, it's important to shrink back your lifestyle so that you can have the peace and you can move forward, and that's what you did when you left your Palm Springs home and moved into another home that was cheaper so you could use that money for other things, and that's uncomfortable because it's easy to get settled into comfort and a lifestyle, but sometimes that's not necessarily the best way to continue to move forward. So, scaling back and that's not just about business, but it's lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so, how did you know when, okay, it's time to scale back, it's time to reassess, and what was that feeling for you, letting go of your home, moving into a home where there are a bunch of other people? Like, what did that feel like for you?
Oh man, that feeling was one of just pure embarrassment at that point. Because I was in Arete at the time, 50 other multimillionaire entrepreneurs, and literally I was the only dude at that time that I thought going fucking backwards. I was the only dude who was, you know, not getting better, quote unquote, in life. I was breaking down what I already had and taking steps back while everyone else seemingly around me in that group was taking steps forward because they were taking the information that they were being taught by Andy and Ed and they were applying it to their businesses and their businesses were exploding. I didn't have a business. So I was literally going backwards, saving up money to be able to even afford to build a business. And so my lifestyle went from a cool Palm Springs home to renting renting a room literally with my wife So I was going backwards while everybody was going forwards. And it was the same. It's been the same through let's say college. When I graduated college and I went to med school and all my friends went straight to work for Wall Street, I mean, they were making money hand over fist day one. And I was literally going backwards, making nothing, literally paying to go to school, paying for residency and or residency was $30,000, so literally a year. So literally was paying pretty much to go to residency. But we sometimes glamorize being able to do everything, being able to move forward. Why'd you move out of your Palm Springs home? Couldn't you have just worked twice as hard? Yeah, I probably would have been dead. I probably worked 100 hours a week, 7 days a week, every single week. Not 100 hours every day, 7 days a week. Okay, Instagram fucking psychos. But I mean, like 80 to 100 hours a week. And every day of the week I was working, and I did that for years. Steph knows. Steph would, like, ride around with me sometimes from job to job or hang out in the break room, not of the hospital, but in the urgent care break room and chill out so I could see her during the day, or, would come to me when would come with me when I would do overnight at, some hotels so I could be on call closer to the hospital so I didn't have to drive so far, or closer to the prison so I didn't have to drive so far. She would literally stay in the hotel, and I would go into the prison if I ever got called in multiple times, a night, and so we consistently were like, downsizing, and it felt horrible to be in that position. But at the same time, as I grew in business, all of my quote unquote friends, they all went away. All the people who were like supporting, they all went away. You know, and then the reality is I didn't really need any of those people in the first place. They were just around because maybe I was somebody they could hang around with at the time, or they could get something from at the time. And when that went away and I was truly focused on just the business and my wife and what I wanted to do in my life, then all that extra noise, all those extra people, they just kind of faded away. And I mean, I'm sure you've gone through this with moving different states and stuff. The people who were there, they just kind of fade away. They're not there anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I had quite a network in Vegas, and so coming here, there was a big shift where my life looks very different today than it did prior to moving. And, there are aspects of it that felt like I'm taking a step back, I'm retreating back. It makes me it gives me a visual of a slingshot, and when you pull it back, that's like the retreat back, and that pullback varies depending on how far you wanna catapult the whatever it is that you're slingshotting, the rock, the stone, the ball, whatever. It makes me think that because that's kinda what it is. It's like this tension, 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 it's uncomfortable, you have this pullback moment, and there is a time where it releases, and then you're so much further from where you were when you started. And it's, of course, uncomfortable because that pooling process has a lot of tension and a lot of resistance involved in it. I think that's natural for anybody going through an immense amount of change, like moving states, having kids, getting married, all that stuff. But yeah, those moments make you think about who's really important, what's really important. And sometimes there's a grieving process with friendships that maybe are no longer there, or business partners that are no longer there, but recognizing there's a shaking out process where you kinda start to attract new people that are more aligned with where you are at that phase in your life. recognizing, I mean, there's the old adage, some friends are here for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Mm.
And that's with everything, businesses, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Relationships, same thing. Anything you can look at in your life. There's a reason it's there, the lesson you're meant to learn, or it's there for a season and that's okay and be okay with the coming and going of those things, or it's there for a lifetime. And the retreat process is just a natural part of what we go through in life. Is there an area in your life that you want to simplify, but it kind of scares you to do it?
I don't think anything really scares me anymore to a degree in business because I've done so much to just and fucked up so much that it doesn't scare me anymore. It's the at this point, I want to simplify everything. I want to simplify every part of my business. I want to automate every part of my business. And when I think about it, how does a billionaire simplify their life? How can they get up and, again, like quietly have breakfast, have a couple business meetings, I don't know, play golf or tennis, your stereotypical Instagram billionaire. Most of them are not doing this, but they have the choice to do it if they wanted to. And again, their money would be controlled, their groceries would be controlled, like them even maybe driving would be controlled by someone else, and they would just set that up and rely on those people for that. So how did they do that? What are the things that you can do right now to put that level of autonomy in place into your business or into your life that makes it easier for you and simplifies it. Everything you're doing, you should be trying to simplify it, trying to make it faster, more efficient, better, because that just means you can do more in a shorter period of time.
It frees you up time-wise,
Absolutely.
'cause it's not about filling then the time with doing more. It's creating more in a shorter period of time so that you have more free time.
It's being way more efficient with your time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where people get mistaken sometimes though, because they do more, but then they still fill the other time that they have with doing more versus allowing them to buy their time back so that they can create the freedom. They can create the magic that they want to have in their life. Like, let's say golfing or whatever that magic, those magical moments look like for you. Let's talk about as we finalize this conversation, let's talk about playing the long game. Even when it feels like you've lost a round of it, it's like golf is such a long game. If you do really bad on a hole, you continue going,
Yeah.
continue pushing. You're going to go to the next hole and you're going to try to make up for it because it's the long game.
Yeah.
You can't just like, "Nope, that ended up in the water, so that's it, I'm done, throwing in my club." No, you're gonna try to figure out how to, and it's so wild because golf, when I think about it, it's like 1 stroke makes such a big difference in the game. 1 stroke per hole makes a huge difference in winning or losing, and yes, let's talk about that as far as playing the long game. Not giving up because you just happen to lose a hole or
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
mean, you have to lose some battles sometimes to win a war. There are very few battles in history that have been won by winning every or wars in history that have been won by winning every single battle, without any casualties whatsoever. There's gonna be casualties, there's gonna be times you have to retreat, there's gonna be war like, battles that you lose, and remembering that it was sometimes temporary loss here or there is necessary to get your business to the next level. Look at Apple, almost went bankrupt in the past. Look at Amazon, same thing in the past. Look at Tesla. Same thing in the past. All these businesses had been saved or were on the verge of bankruptcy or going under at some point or another. Then they came storming back. And, one bad month, one bad quarter is not going to be telling of your entire year or career in business. It was eye-opening for Brent and I in that Genesis has been around 15 years, and I've been a part of Genesis for 6 years, and we have never had a down quarter until Q1 of this year. And it was funny because the guys, the PE people we were talking to are like, "Well, you're down. Is it gonna be continue to be down? Like, what if your business is 50%?" And it was laughable talking to these guys who really have never run a real fucking business before at all, because you can tell they had no idea what they were talking about. They were not entrepreneurs, will never be fucking entrepreneurs, don't have the fucking balls to do it, number 1, and number 2, don't have the intelligence to do it, or the just pure raw lack of intelligence that allows you to just careen forward when you have no idea what the fuck you're doing. And these guys were all worried about 1 quarter. It was just like, "Guys, that just shows me you have no fucking idea what you're doing in business. You have no idea where the future is of medicine or any of this. You literally have 0 clue." And what happened next quarter? We bounced back immediately. So, the one time, the 1 week, the one bad quarter, the one bad year doesn't mean that your vision is ruined. It doesn't mean that it's dead. It just means that, hey, at that point, you were growing into it. Might have had to take a step back, reassess. So don't mistake the plot twist for the end of the story. It moves on. It goes on in a different direction, yes, but it goes on.
Is there a risk now that you've been thinking about, but you've been a little bit too afraid to take action on just yet?
Oof, that's a difficult one. I think the risk that we're about to take in Genesis is helping build a team that can replace me that's better than me. And not that I want to go anywhere, and not that I plan on leaving or anything, but that is part of building a business is surrounding yourself with people that are way better than you that could probably run the business better than you or without you. And getting those people on the team and making sure that they are the best in their position um is what's kind of scary to me, because it's like, well, man, what if I lose all these people because they won't work for somebody else? But again, that's a hubris way to think of things, foolish in that I'm the most important thing that these people want. That's not what I'm trying to say. I think it's more of, will this other person who's better than me change the vision that I had for Genesis? And maybe the vision that I had for Genesis has to change in order to get there. That's part of that process as well. So the Genesis 2.0 scares me. It scares where the direction is going. It scares what's going to happen. I have no idea. Um, so yeah, that's probably one of the scary things that we're going to be doing. And I'm not stopping because that scares me. We're doing it, and what will be will be. If the position requires me to be replaced so that the company can grow to the size it can be without me there, or without me at the helm, or with me in a different position, then so be it. I'm still the owner and the founder. That doesn't mean I have to be at the top of the food chain in the company. So, yeah,
It sounds like really the retreat strategy that we're talking about is it takes courage and it's also necessary. And that's what makes coming back even stronger possible. And that's why, with the Genesis 2.0, it's about showing up even stronger than you ever have.
right.
Whatever that looks like.
100%. If you're in a season of contraction, guys, if you're pulling back, don't panic. It I will guarantee you that if you focus on what you're doing and you have that vision, sometimes going backwards is the only path forward. And I hope you guys win. And if you need help along the way, we're here. Like, share, comment, find me, dralexspinoso.com. Find me on Instagram, Dr. Alex Spinoso. Find Amanda May at Amanda May Beauty. We're here for you. We're here to support you. If you need even more support, join our medical mastermind, join charismetics.com, where we, again, talk about all sorts of stuff like this, coach you through the step backs in order for the setups to win every single part of your business from point A to point Z. We are always there for you. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.